when I got to varsity, I like failed dismally, almost failed like half of my course. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it is your first time joining me, please do make sure to hit the subscribe button before you leave, because I do want to see more of you, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't mind seeing more of me, you know. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your loyalty. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome failure, and I'm going to do that by sharing a personal story with you guys of when I experienced failure and giving you some tips on how you can overcome it. So if you are interested in knowing some tips on how to overcome failure, then please do keep on watching. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome academic failure, because that's what I experienced personally. However, the tips that I am going to share with you guys are very general, and you can apply them to any aspect in life or any area of your life where you feel like you have failed. So to start this video, I'm just going to share with you guys a personal story about the time that I failed in my life, like dismally. But yeah, so like I did mention before, I'm going to be speaking on academic failure. However, once again, this video can be applied in different areas. So to give you guys some context and disclaimer, I'm not here to brag, I'm not here to like, you know, give myself a big head or anything, but I'm just trying to give you guys some context and some background so that you can understand why I felt the way I did when I failed. Okay, so I've always been okay, I don't know if I can say always, but I was always generally like a very smart person, or like a very smart child, a very good scholar, like an academic, some people might say. So since I was really young, ever since I started school, basically I've always done like extremely well. From grade 1 up until matric, I was in every single prize giving. I was always getting awards, you know. I was like top 10 in the grade majority of the time. In primary school, I also had like an opportunity to represent the country at like an international Olympiad and things like that. So I was generally like a smart child, like some people could consider me smart or whatever. So that is the image that I had of myself going into university, you know. Even at the end of matric, I matriculated with 6 distinctions. So in my head, I genuinely thought like, girl, you know what, you got this. Like, what's varsity? That's just like a piece of cake, you know, because I had that image of myself that I'm the smart person, I'm this academic person, so I will do well academically. Also, another thing to note is that in high school per se, it's not necessarily that I worked extremely hard. Like, I wouldn't say that I stayed up all night studying, or like, you know, I studied 15 hours a day. Like, it was nothing like that. And also not to say that I didn't study at all. I was just sort of like an in-between. And I mean, some days I would study like the day before and still manage to get a distinction or whatever. So in my head, I was like, I'm generally like a smart person, an academic person. Like, I can still put in the same amount of effort that I've been putting in high school and still get like the same results in varsity. Boy, was I wrong. But anyways, so come university, my first year, things were a bit tricky because the workload was a lot. It was like way more than I anticipated. As well, in my degree in particular, I was doing, I think, about 7 or 8 modules in first year. So that was also very overwhelming, because some of my peers had like 5 modules or 4 modules, and I'm out here with like 7, and I'm like, how am I supposed to survive this? But surely enough, first semester came through and I survived. Like, shout out to God, you know. And I did okay. I didn't do like extremely well or bad or whatever. I was just average. I just did okay. So I was like, okay, cool. It was a bit hurtful because it's like I'm so used to doing really well academically, and here I am doing like average. But I'm like, it's okay, because you know what, at least I passed, and I'm happy that I passed, and I can move on to second semester. Whew, second semester, guys. Second semester came like a ton of bricks. Like, when I tell you, I never expected it. I literally never expected that it was going to be that hard or that I was going to struggle that much. I was just like, I was literally shook. So second semester comes through, and as you know, I'm doing like 7-8 modules and stuff, and for some odd reason, I don't know why it is that in varsity second semester is always so much harder than first semester. Like, I just don't understand that. But yeah, it was extremely difficult, and especially because I was doing subjects that had to do with numbers. So I had statistics, I had accounting, I had economics. Economics is not necessarily deeply like number based, but they were like graphs and things like that and equations here and there. So I was doing, yeah, those mathematical subjects, and I thought that, you know, when I was done with matric maths, I was going to be done with maths for life. But I also didn't know what I was expecting, because I'm studying a BCom, so obviously there was going to be maths. But anyways, I didn't think it would be that deep, you know. So yeah, I had all these subjects, and these 3 subjects in particular that I was really struggling with. So with me being the person that I thought I was, I thought that, you know, I can just do the same that I did in first semester and I will be okay to pass second semester. But of course, I was wrong yet again. So second semester was really extremely difficult for me. I really like tried and stuff, but I think I got to a point where I actually just gave up on my academics because everything was so difficult. It was so overwhelming. I literally got to that point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't even try anymore, because me trying is also not even working. So it was a mix of not understanding the work. Well, when it came to like accounting, it was a mix of just really not understanding what's going on, and then also me trying to study, but then nothing is going in, nothing is helping. When I'm getting my results back, like, they're really low. I think for an accounting test I once had like 14% or something. Like, they were so low, and this was just like such a blow to my self-image. So yeah, it was actually really difficult. And then come the end of second semester, I ended up failing 3 of my subjects. So out of the 7 modules that I had, I ended up failing 3, and that is like very close to half. And I was honestly so devastated. Like, I actually can't even explain to you guys. I literally felt like it was the end of the world, because I was like, how could this happen to me? Like, I'm a person that's been doing well, I've been doing okay. Like, how can I fail? Like, you know, when you see yourself in a certain way and you perceive yourself as something, that when something completely opposite happens, like, you don't even know how to react, because you don't even know, like, how could this happen to me? That's how I felt. I was very devastated. I was very embarrassed. I was very, like, yeah, I just felt so defeated, essentially. And I used to like play it cool and stuff, like, okay, no, like, you know, it's fine, it is what it is. But like, deep inside, I was going through it. I was going through the most. But I think I really struggled with this because it really challenged the way that I saw myself, and really like changed that, because it was like, okay, so maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Maybe I'm actually dumb. Maybe I'm not good enough for my degree. Maybe I'm not smart enough for this degree. You know, like, all those kind of negative thoughts and everything were coming into my head, and it was really affecting me. And yeah, I honestly just felt so defeated. Like, I didn't even want to continue with my degree. I just felt like, you know what, maybe this is not for me, you know. And not to be so dramatic about like failing modules, but it was something new to me, you know. Like, I hadn't necessarily experienced failure like on a large scale, so it was something different, and I didn't know how to handle it, you know. And I think that's also why I made such a big deal out of something that really wasn't even that big of a deal, you know. So yeah, essentially, like, that's my story. So in a nutshell, like, I was an academic type of person, always doing well and things like that. And then when I got to varsity, I like failed dismally, almost failed like half of my course, essentially, and it really took a toll on me. However, I did manage to come back around. Second year, obviously I had to redo those modules that I had failed in first year, and I actually managed to like do really well. The things that helped me get through this failure are the tips that I'm about to share with you guys. So yeah, that was my story, and these tips are what helped me overcome the failure and, you know, get up, not to give up, and to try again. So I'm going to share these tips with you guys, and I hope that they will be helpful in your life in some or other way. It doesn't have to apply to academics, it can apply to literally anything in life. But yeah, these are the tips that helped me. So the first tip to help you overcome failure is to change your mindset. This was literally like a game changer for me because it literally changed everything. I think that once you put your mind to something and once you believe something, then that's exactly what's going to happen. So for me, I'm a person who believes in the law of attraction, which is a whole other video. So basically what would help me to change my mindset is that I would, like, when I set my alarm in the morning to wake up for school, I would label it like wake up a student. Or when I wrote down the list of assignments and things that we had for the year, like after I wrote down that list, I would be like, thank you for my distinctions. I'd be like, get those distinctions, girl. Like, you know, I'll just constantly affirm myself and remind myself that I'm actually capable of doing well. I also had like a reminder on my phone that would go off that says you can do anything, or something along those lines. And when I tell you guys, like, this reminder would come at the most, because I set it for a random time, I think like 10 o'clock or something, but oddly enough, every time it would come on is the exact time that I needed to hear that. Like, I would either be struggling with an assignment, or I'd be like struggling to study or something like that, and I would just get that reminder that reminded me that, you know what, you can do anything. And then I just feel so empowered, and I'd feel so like, yeah, actually I can, you know. And that's really what got me through. Changing your mindset is really important. I feel like, especially when it comes to failure, you can't see yourself as a failure, because that's all that you're going to attract, you know. I feel like when you believe something, like, life will conspire to show you what you believe. Like, if you believe you're a failure, then life will show you that yes, you are, you know. But if you believe that you're not, life will show you something different, essentially. So yeah, you can't see yourself as a failure, because honestly, that's not what you are. And we also need to remember that just because we say something in our mind, or we think something to ourselves, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily true, you know. So it was just about changing my mindset and just reclaiming my power, and just reminding myself that I actually am capable of doing all of these amazing things, and that, you know, I can do this, and it's not something that's out of my reach, you know. And another thing with changing your mindset, I think, is also the way that you perceive failure. So if you look at something as a failure, it really seems like something so hectic and something so like devastating. But if you just see it as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, you know, then it doesn't seem so bad. Like, I once saw a quote that says, you either win or you learn. So it's that thing of like, failure shouldn't even be like a thing. You should just see it as something different. And also, like, sometimes rejection is redirection, you know. So when you fail, it doesn't always mean that like it's a failure. You can just turn it and see it as something positive, and it will become something positive. My second tip for overcoming failure is don't compare yourself to others. And I know that this one is so cliche, and I think there's a reason why it is a cliche, because it is so important. Comparison is literally the thief of joy. Like, if you want to be sad, compare yourself to other people. And for me, that was also something that was challenging for me, that I had to learn to not do, because in my head it was like, oh my gosh, but like all my peers passed their modules, my friends passed their modules, like, oh my gosh, you know, everyone else in my degree is doing so well, like they're not struggling, like, you know, what's wrong with me and stuff like that. And that is just so bad. Like, it's such a bad thing to do. So if you can help it, do not compare yourself to others. Another cliche thing to say, like, your journey is your journey, you know, like you're on your own path, you're not on their path. They may be doing amazing in school, but they probably have other challenges as well that they may not share with you or whatever, and maybe school is just your challenge. But in essence, like, everyone has their own challenges, and I'm pretty sure that if you had a choice to pick between other people's challenges and things, you'd probably take your own one back. So it's that thing of, you know, if you can help it, do not compare yourself to others, because it will honestly bring you much more peace and much more joy. And you'll just, you know, just really realizing that you're an individual living an individual life, and that your story is unique to you. Like, that will honestly just save you so much heartache. My third tip for overcoming failure is to come up with a plan. Again, with my quotes, but there's a quote that says that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And I find that to be very, very true, because you can't expect different outcomes if you're going to be doing the exact same thing. So you actually need to sit down with yourself and come up with a plan and say, okay, how can I overcome this thing? What am I going to do differently? Like I mentioned earlier, that you can see failure as a lesson, as an opportunity to learn. So you should actually learn and then implement what you have learned when you are trying again. So for me, it was realizing that, okay, I really don't understand this subject. It's not a matter of me being lazy or whatever. My brain genuinely cannot comprehend what the subject is saying, you know. So it was me realizing that, okay, I'm going to need help. And that was also a big thing, because I think I was a person with pride. Like, I thought that, nah, I can do this on my own. Like, I don't need any help. Like, you know, I'm me, you know. So it was actually just humbling myself and realizing that, you know what, girl, you need help, and that's okay. So I got a tutor for one of the subjects that I was struggling with, and that obviously helped me a lot, because it helped me with my understanding and everything. And then also a part of my plan was obviously like attend, you know, maybe 99% of my lectures, you know, actually pay attention to what the lecturer is saying while I'm in class and things like that. So it was just seeing how can I do things differently to get a different outcome. And I did do things differently, and I definitely got a much better and different outcome. My fourth tip for overcoming failure is to find a good support system. This could be friends, family, like whoever you believe will support you during this time. I feel like it's all good and well to think that, you know what, I can do things on my own, I've got this, whatever, but it also doesn't hurt to just have people there for you to support you, because like it will be difficult. Like when you feel like you failed something, it really is difficult and takes a lot of courage to actually get up and try again. So it doesn't hurt having people there rooting for you, people in your corner and things like that. My friends were really supportive and things. Like it wasn't I didn't have those friends that would constantly remind you that you failed, or like, you know, make these shady remarks or like those shady comments or whatever. My friends were really supportive, and they were really there for me. Like whenever I was struggling with something, or if I was just going through a lot, if it was too much for me, like they would genuinely be there reminding me that, you know what, you can do this, you've got this, like we're all going to pass, we're all going to do the most. You know, they were so supportive and encouraging, and that honestly carried me through. I also had like a friend who was doing the same degree as me, and you know, but she studies in Cape Town, and I would literally always call her, I would text her, she would text me. Like we were each other's like support system, and that honestly helped me so much. Like if I didn't have her there to be there for me, like I sometimes don't even know like how I would have made it. Like it's sometimes so nice just to have someone that you know is there for you, and you know can support you, and so yeah, you should find a good support system. My family was also really supportive, and yeah, they never reminded me like, you know, girl, you failed or whatever, you know, and they never gave me the impression that they didn't trust me to do better, you know what I mean? Like it was complete trust and confidence in my abilities, and that honestly then gave me the confidence as well to know that I can overcome this, because there are people that actually believe in me and believe that I can do it. Also during this time, when you're in a time of overcoming failure, you really have to avoid negative people. Well, avoid them at all costs, period. But during a time like that, it really is essential that you stay away from people that are going to make you feel bad, or that are going to make you feel some type of way. All you need is love and support. And then my fifth and final tip for overcoming failure is to do the work. Like whatever situation it is in your life, you actually need to do the work. Like you can't sit down, sit back, relax and think that things are just going to fall into your lap, or that things are just going to magically be different. Like it doesn't work that way. You actually have to do something. So in the case of academics, for me, it's like you have to study, maybe like before time or whatever. You have to do your assignments on time. Like don't do last minute things. Don't, you know, like, just make your life easier. You know that you have more subjects to do, so just make sure that you're on top of your time management. So if you're going to have a tutor, like, you make sure that you're going to all the sessions, that you're actually taking time out to, you know, put extra work into the subject that you're struggling with. Like, it was actually doing the work. Like, I didn't just sit back and all of a sudden my marks were amazing. Like, I actually put in so much work, and it was actually so hard. And another thing with doing the work is that you need to prioritize. Like, you need to say what's important in the season of my life, and for me it was academics, so whatever else comes is going to be secondary to what I know I need to do. And once you do the work, you definitely will see results. I don't believe that you can work extremely hard for something and not see anything out of it at all. When you do your best, God will do the rest. And that was literally so true in my situation, because even when I wrote my exams, like, I honestly felt like God wrote those exam papers for me, because all the information that I knew was what was in the paper, and everything I didn't know wasn't in the paper. And just how, like, if I felt like I wasn't ready for a test or whatever, then I would see an email saying like the test has been postponed, and small things like that, you know, that just made me feel like, wow, this man's really got me. So that was my story of how I overcame failure. And when I get my results, I will add them to the end of this video, probably with like a voiceover or something, just to really show you guys that, you know, doing small little things like changing your mindset, coming up with a plan, having a support system, etc., can really do so much for you. Because I did way better than I did last year, and I mean, it's the same content, like, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was me. So sometimes you just need to look within and see what you can fix there, and your outside will reflect that. I hope that these tips will encourage you and inspire you to get back up and try again. I hope that you guys found this video beneficial. This was the first installment of a series on my channel called Chats with Nat, where I will just be talking about different topics. So do let me know if you like these kind of videos by giving this video a thumbs up. Also, do feel free to send me some suggestions on Instagram at Natalie Wera of some topics that you'd like me to discuss, or alternatively, you can leave them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with someone you think needs to see it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.